Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang, and welcome back to the Manggcast, which is the second biggest disappointment of this week, right behind Prime Day. Alrighty then, so this week was, it was another light week, I gotta tell you. There's not a whole lot of things going on in the media world, especially light in the video game world. I only have one article to discuss as pertaining to video games, and unfortunately it's not a very pleasant one. I'm sure most of you that follow anything like that can already guess what it is. But last Sunday, it was announced from Nintendo that their president and CEO, Satoru Iwata, had passed away at the age of 55 due to a bile duct growth. And so this kind of rocked the internet a little bit. This was unexpected. Iwata had skipped last year's E3 because of poor health, but he went through surgery, and apparently he was progressing well, or so he said, but I guess not. So, so there was a lot of outpouring across the internet, across the globe for his passing, and, boy. I mean, okay. I don't ever want to come off as insensitive or anything like that. It is sad. He was a young, I mean, he wasn't old, so it's rough. But I didn't know the guy, and that hasn't stopped a lot of people from expressing their sentiments. But I mean, it's like, I don't know. I'm an asshole, I guess, is what it comes down to. I'm incapable of expressing sadness in a situation like this. I can understand how people can feel sad, but I don't know. I didn't know the guy, so I don't mean to come off as insensitive. And if this really busts you up, then I apologize if I talk kind of just practically about the situation. I haven't been a very big Nintendo fan. In fact, I haven't been a big Nintendo fan since he became president and CEO in 2002. He was the first president of Nintendo to not be part of the Yamauchi family. And he was only the fourth president of Nintendo. And you can look, if you're really interested, you can look up kind of his life story. It was pretty impressive how he really was just kind of a gamer. And he kind of just rose up through the ranks and became, the head of one of the biggest gaming companies in the world. And what I learned, apparently, is that he was kind of like a programming genius, in fact. I only learned about it because people have been sharing all this stuff, but apparently some of the things that he did with coding and things like that for some games was just, like, mind-blowing. I really had no idea. So that's interesting. So he had worked on games like Balloon Fight, Kirby, and probably the dearest game to my heart that he had worked on was Earthbound. And so he was a pretty important member of the industry. Let's see. So he had been president and CEO of Nintendo during some interesting years of Nintendo's lifespan. He was there for the kind of weak points, such as during the GameCube span, during the Wii U span, but he was also there for the Wii and for the whole DS thing. So the 3DS is doing very well. The Wii did, the Wii was like Nintendo's best time ever. And so I guess then the question then that I am asking, I don't know if a lot of people are asking, is who is going to succeed him? Who will be the new president? Some people say Miyamoto. I don't see that ever happening, because I don't see Miyamoto as a businessman, which I think you have to be to some degree to be the president of, Nintendo. I think Miyamoto just loves game design too much. I think he's a bit too quirky. He just wants to be in the trenches, I picture him as kind of like the Clancy Brown from Starship Troopers. That doesn't really want to be in charge of anything. He just wants to do what he loves. So I don't see him becoming president. The other name that I think was mentioned, although I don't know if seriously, was Reggie Fils-Aimé. Everybody loves Reggie, of course. Gotta love the Reginator. But he will never be president of Nintendo because he's not Japanese. And that is very crucial. A Japanese company would never make a foreigner president and CEO of their company. So that's not happening. There was another name that was brought up. It was kind of like Miyamoto's counterpart, I guess. I'm blanking on his name. I really apologize. Something with a Takeda, something like that. Who is one of the most senior members of Nintendo at this point, if not the most senior. But again, I don't know if I see the shareholders appointing somebody like that. And the interesting thing that I had read that had come into the light was that I guess the shareholders of Nintendo, who influence a lot of decisions that are made, but are not, they don't get to make all the decisions. The shareholders are mostly interested in mobile gaming. Mobile gaming, very big in Japan, and in other parts of the world, it has potential to make a lot of mad dash. Looking at something like Hearthstone now on tablets and phones, that's making some cash. So shareholders are very interested in mobile gaming. And the only thing that has really stopped Nintendo from going just full into the mobile realm, as in, phones and things like that, has been Iwata. He has been very much against it. So it's going to be kind of scary then if the shareholders appoint, who they want to appoint to the presidency, things could change a little bit at Nintendo. And recently, I think this was like last March or this March, something like that, Nintendo announced that they were partnering with a Japanese mobile game company to kind of bring some of Nintendo's characters and concepts to the mobile world. So they were starting to get into that already. So yeah, that's scary. The NX is in development. We plan on seeing that next year, so a year from now. So it's got to be well enough along. So I imagine that was a lot of Iwata's doing. I'm curious as to what's going to happen with that. What's going to come of that now? This was very, very unexpected, I got to imagine. So I don't know. It's going to be a shakeup, I think, over at Nintendo. Whether it's good or bad, I would probably lean towards saying not going to be good. Especially if, the whole thing about the mobile gaming is true. That could just make me lose even more interest. On the other hand, maybe not. Maybe it'll flip in the other direction and they'll want to get more involved into the core industry, but I doubt it. Nintendo has been so against that for so long. But I guess, I mean, I can't say how much influence Iwata really had on the whole thing. Maybe... I know that his philosophy is that, above all, games just had to be fun. And so that's kind of been Nintendo's idea for a while now. Back, in the day with the Super Nintendo, when the Super Nintendo came out, I mean, it was cutting edge, more or less. Like, it was what you wanted. Nowadays, it's a different market, different world. Things could be different. So yeah, like I said, it's sad that he passed on, but shit happens, I guess, so we'll see what happens with Nintendo, we'll see what shakeups this causes, and, I guess the world and the industry will miss Mr. Iwata. And that's about all I have to say about the video game community, the world, the culture. Unfortunately, it wasn't very much. I'm sorry. I do have a bunch of movie stuff, though, to talk about. If that doesn't interest you, I apologize. I have kind of the rest of the ComicCon stuff that because I had done last episodes was kind of in the middle of it. So we've got some more of that to talk about. All right. So, well, we'll keep with kind of the video game theme. This kind of works for both video games and movies, and that's Warcraft. The Warcraft movie. There was some footage shown at Comic-Con, and it got leaked. Like everything got leaked. Nothing was not leaked. But actually, the Warcraft footage was the hardest for me to find. I really had to dig far and wide to find some leaked footage of Warcraft. Like, they have been very aggressive in deleting it off the internet. I actually had to, download it, and it only was, half of the footage. I only got, the orc footage, which I guess is the more interesting stuff. So, okay. If you've ever played a recent Blizzard game, and you've seen some of the cinematics that they put in there, and maybe you thought, wow, I wonder what a whole movie of this would be like. Have I got the thing for you? Yeah, so the Warcraft footage that was shown at Comic-Con starts with the orcs kind of walking across, what is it, Draenor, right? Yes? Okay. And, The orcs that we get to see are Orgrim and Durotan, as well as Gul'dan. And the orcs are kind of in a shit spot. Draenor's not doing too well. They need food and water, as Durotan says. And so they look to Gul'dan for assistance, which they probably shouldn't, but they do. And Gul'dan's like, hey, I got this big portal here. We're going to go through it. We're going to raid some shit. And so we get to see the dark portal, and we get to see it being opened, and all the orcs charging through, and so on and so forth. And that's all the footage that I got to see. That was about 4 minutes or so. The footage apparently goes on. I'm reading just the description now. We get to see Stormwind, the main city of the Alliance. And we get to see Alliance characters walking around Stormwind and talking about the orcs and how we're not powerful enough to defeat them and blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's the orcs saying that. I misread that. We get to see Baby Thrall floating down a river, I guess. We get to see King Lane Rin, played by Dominic Cooper. And then I guess the Alliance is just running. The orcs are running, and they smash into each other. And there's a shot of a guy jumping off a cliff and jumping onto a griffin. And then there's, I guess, an overhead angle shot akin to, like, playing one of the Warcraft games of the battle going on, which I would have really liked to seen. I think that sounds really... I want to see that. I didn't get to see it. And then it cuts to the title. Okay. So the big thing that everybody's talking about is the orcs, is all the CG, is what it looks like. And, I don't know what people really expected. I mean, yeah, I guess you could have gone for sort of like a Lord of the Rings thing where they were all in costume and stuff like that. But I feel like that's just... I don't know. I don't see how that's just inherently better. Like, I guess people are allowed to have their own individual tastes. Some people just prefer costumes. CG is evil. It's for evil bastards in Hollywood. I don't know. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of just a cinematic from, like, you know, World of Warcraft or something like that. And, like, when Blizzard cinematics have always just been top-notch and stuff like that. It always just looks great and it's awesome. So, I am interested. I'm excited about it. The plot is pretty much taken from Warcraft 1, Orcs and Humans. I feel like they're probably going to mix it up a little bit, though. Because I feel like the main party, the main group that's interested in this movie is people that play World of Warcraft. I mean, when it comes down to it, that's mostly what it is. A lot of people have played World of Warcraft, and so they'll see this and be like, oh, there's a movie now based on World of Warcraft. It's not based on World of Warcraft, let's be clear. This takes place like decades before that. But I feel like they'll put in some element. Like, I think it was mentioned at one point that there's elves in the movie, which were not in Warcraft 1. So could we see dwarves? Could we see taurens? Could we see night elves? You know, it could be, we could see anything, potentially. Yeah, you'll piss off the die-hard purist fanatics, but you'll appeal to a larger group, which really is what it comes down to. So it looks interesting. I mean, obviously, it's basically like Avatar, I guess. It reminds me a bit of Avatar, which would kind of scare me if it weren't for kind of the setting and the plot and things like that. Like, I do dig the whole concept of Warcraft a lot more than I dig Avatar. And yeah, it does remind me of a video game. It reminds me of a Blizzard game, which I feel like is the goal. I think that's what you're looking for. I mean, obviously, there's gonna be humans in there. There's gonna be actors. There's gonna be real elements, but there's also gonna be a lot of CG. It's gonna feel akin to a video game. The footage that I saw, I mean, it wasn't really a trailer. It was just kind of cobbled together footage. I mean, it was somewhat cohesive to give you kind of an idea of what the plot's gonna be, but this is not what a trailer, like, they're gonna put together something different for an actual trailer. And like I said, we weren't really meant to see this, so it's not anywhere near to finalize or anything like that, so I'm not gonna really judge it. I'm excited, but yeah, I could see how people don't care for it, which is potentially worrisome, but really, you really expected them to just have costumes? I don't know. Anyways, okay. Moving on then to the next piece of leaked footage. Deadpool. Deadpool's footage was leaked. And keep in mind, like, all this leaked footage is like from a cell phone halfway deep into the audience and kind of like not even focused on the thing because they don't want to really show their phones off. Like, they're doing some illegal shit for us. This is like bootlegging. So it's really terrible, but it gets you an idea of what's going on. So the Deadpool footage. This movie, obviously, I'm very excited about. And it's funny now that I'm watching leaked footage of a movie that really was only made because of leaked footage. Like, I don't know if Deadpool would have been made if it wasn't for that original footage getting leaked that just blew up the internet. So yeah, the footage itself, it's good. It leaves me feeling optimistic about the movie. It didn't seem like filled with like non sequiturs and just wackiness. Like, it didn't seem that wacky, which I, for one, am okay with. Like, I don't really love the whole just crazy LOL random Deadpool kind of stuff. Like, I like Deadpool when he's just sassy. Like, I like Ryan Reynolds being sarcastic and sassy rather than just the whole kind of, I don't know. I mean, I like Deadpool, but recent Deadpool has just been a bit too out there, a bit too pandering, I guess. So this seems a bit more solid. It does seem like it's going to be the most R-rated and most humorous of any comic book movie. Like, it's really going to be kind of its own thing. Like, it's not like any other comic book movie that has come out in quite a while. Definitely seems to be some good action involved. There's gonna be guns, there's gonna be swords, there's gonna be that. And I feel like Ryan Reynolds just really, like, we all knew this was gonna work out. Ryan Reynolds was meant to play this, and he does it as he could. So there's some funny bits in the footage. Again, it's not really a trailer. It's just special ComicCon footage. There's a difference. They said Ryan Reynolds tweeted that, like, they're gonna officially release the footage in a few weeks, because once the visual effects shots are done. But from what I noticed, it looked pretty fine to me. So this is coming out in February. So not a tremendous ways away, but yeah, they still got plenty of visual effects to do. He doesn't look like when he's got like the more advanced cancer on his face and stuff like that, and he's got his mask off. There's plenty of jokes about it in the trailer or in the footage, and it's pretty humorous. But he doesn't look nearly as messed up as he probably should. Like, he's still recognizable as Ryan Reynolds, which I feel like, you know, they did so that, I mean, it's Ryan Reynolds. They didn't want to just completely disfigure him, although really they should have. But that's just nitpick. I'm not that kind of a fan. Like, fine, okay, it's still Ryan Reynolds, whatever. That's such a minor thing to quibble about. Yeah. So, I don't think he mentioned chimichangas at all during the footage, at least not that I heard. So, again, maybe they're just toning all that down. But it's still going to be R-rated. It's like, yeah, it's going to be something. Alright, next one then is X-Men Apocalypse. I had to track this one down. And this one looks, this is very different than Deadpool. This is more akin to something like Batman vs. Superman, where it just feels the stakes are very high, it feels very serious, there's that kind of epic tonality to it, and, yes, it does look very good. I think what a lot of people are complaining about that did see the footage is Apocalypse himself. Not so much his dialogue, although it's kind of cliche, uber villain comic dialogue, but more his appearance. He looks like Ivan Ooze. Yeah, I mean, he does. I mean, if you look it up, Look it up. You'll see a picture of him. He looks like Ivan Ooze, which is not, I don't think, how he's pictured at all in the comics. I thought he was more gray in the comics. They didn't want to go. They went purple. Maybe bluish, perhaps, but purple. Yeah, it doesn't look good. I'll admit. That doesn't really, like, destroy the movie for me or anything like that, but it was an odd choice. So yeah, the footage that they showed seemed very much like ready to release on TV. Yeah, I mean, it seemed very all put together well. Like I said, definitely more epic. And I'm sure it'll be good. You know, it's Bryan Singer. It's X-Men. X-Men has been kind of handling itself well, except for, you know, Wolverine. And even though it's got Olivia Munn in it, I'm still optimistic. You know. Apparently, Quicksilver, Evan Peters, is going to have a much larger scene. They said scene. He's going to be a much bigger scene than in Days of Future Past. So that's good. I just like speedsters. So yes, bring it on. It just seems like there's so many characters and pieces involved in this movie. I'm just curious to see how it all kind of fits together. I mean, obviously everybody cares mostly about, you know, Professor X and Magneto, but you also have, you know, you have Quicksilver in there. You have now Nightcrawler. You have Cyclops. Jean Grey's in there. You've got Mystique. And now that Jennifer Lawrence is who she is, she seemed like a big part of the trailer for some reason. You've got Storm in there, Psylocke. Like, it's just gonna be kind of crazy. So we'll see how they do fitting it all together. And yeah, you know, I'm optimistic. I tend to be optimistic, I guess. Okay, and then finally, the Suicide Squad footage. Boy. So, oh man, Suicide Squad. It just seems different, you know, and not really in a good way. You know, it seems like Guardians of the Galaxy different, but not in that good, fun way. It just seems so B-movie, you know? It seems so spin-off. It just feels like a spin-off before we even have, like, the real deal, you know? Like, DC doesn't even really have a cinematic universe, but they already have Suicide Squad. I think Batman vs. Superman is coming out before it, I believe, right? Yes? Like, you guys can respond. But I believe so. So, technically, yeah, we'll have Batman vs. Superman first. But it just feels so strange to be watching the Suicide Squad, because it has a feeling like it wants to just be involved and be competing with the big guns. But it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you kind of just have to watch the footage. I just feel like the whole concept is off. Like, I don't know what they could have, like, I guess the footage seemed okay, but the concept is so just, ugh. I don't see the movie succeeding very well. I'll say that. Because it has just a large cast of characters that are all unique, but you don't really care about any of them. And it's just, like, all the different, like, you have Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's going to be, of course, recognizable. She's probably going to be, like, the main character of the entire thing. So, okay, fine. Harley Quinn, good. But then you have, like, the other character, like Rick Flag and the Enchantress and Captain Boomerang, and it's just, like, it seems so B-movie. But then you have Will Smith, who is easily the most out-of-place thing in the entire film. Like, why? Why is he in here? Like, I feel like his only purpose in the movie is to just give it some star power. That's gotta be it. I feel like Will Smith just doesn't belong. I don't know if I would say he's better than this, but I kind of want to say he's better than this. Will Smith is playing Deadshot, Floyd Lawton, who we've already seen in Arrow. And there's a part in the footage where Will Smith he's just like, oh, we're some kind of suicide squad, and it's just like, oh god. And I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so just kind of an ensemble of characters you don't really care about. Like, there's like there's Killer Croc, which just like, he looks straight out of a Mangs movie, let's be honest. Slipknot, Katana, who is also an Arrow, El Diablo, it was just got tattoos all over himself. I think that's his superpower. I think his superpower is to have tattoos on his face. And then we have the Joker, which is really, I think is the big selling point. I think that is why people are gonna go see this. Really, that pretty much is what it is. People are gonna go see this to see the new Joker. Now we're probably gonna get maybe a tiny bit of the Joker in Batman vs. Superman, but I think we're going to get a bit more in this, but it's really unclear as to how much he's going to be in Suicide Squad. But I think people will go see it for that either way. And so Joker's being played by Jared Leto this time. And I love Jared Leto. Love his band, love his movies, love all that shit. So I am perfectly okay with Jared Leto being the Joker, and he seems pretty nuts, I'll admit. He definitely freaks me out a little bit. And, yeah, he'll probably do a good job. I've never really been disappointed with Jared Leto. He's got some big shoes to fill, but I think it'll be okay. Again, it's unclear as to his role in the film, whether he'll be in, like, prison the whole time, or break out at the end, or if he's going to be the villain, or if he's going to be like a little tiny part of the villain, or nobody knows. But yeah, it's of all the leaked footage I saw, this one is the one I'm least optimistic about. It's being directed by David Ayer, who I kind of have mixed feelings about. On the one hand, he wrote Training Day, which is like a crowning freaking achievement. Training Day is amazing, but that might be part to just dude Denzel, who ad-libbed a lot of lines. That could be it. But either way, Training Day, really damn good movie. On the other hand, he also did Sabotage with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love Arnold, but that movie was a goddamn disaster. So, he also did Street Kings, which I watched recently, which I did really like. But he's also done Sabotage, so I don't know. It could be good. I mean, he's kind of used to dealing with a whole bunch of people in an action movie and just, okay, but he wrote The Fast and the Furious, he wrote SWAT, he just did Fury, okay. So I guess Suicide Squad is kind of like Fury, but with... Are any of them really superheroes? I don't know if any of them are actually superheroes. Maybe the Enchantress. Oh, Killer Croc, I guess, is kind of super lame, but anyways. So I don't know. I'm not really optimistic about this one, but I'm going to go see it because I want to see Jared Leto, and I think that's why most people will see it. Alright, then moving a bit out of comic book territory, we have Pacific Rim 2, which has been confirmed to begin filming this November. Very exciting. Very excited about that. Guillermo del Toro at the reins. He's going to be making it work yet again. I mean, Pacific Rim was awesome. Blew my mind. So good. I have high hopes for Pacific Rim 2. I don't know if this is a huge spoiler, and really it shouldn't be a spoiler because at this point you should have already seen Pacific Rim. But at the end of Pacific Rim, they kind of win. They save the day. I don't know if that really spoils much. And they basically close the portal to the other dimension where the kaijus come from. Again, if that really spoils it for you, just watch the damn movie. So they close the portal, but obviously, you know, portals are like, I was gonna make a crude comment, but anyways, you know, they can open up again. That's easy. That can happen. So we could see the portal opening back up. Del Toro has given strong indications that we will see the return of Charlie Day's kaiju-obsessed Dr. Newton Geisler and Bern Gorman's Gottlieb, which were the two kind of scientists from the first movie. So if they return, that's very cool, because then the plot could involve them like fapping about with the portal. And what I would really like to see, I don't know if they'll touch on it in the second movie or not. What I would really like to see is like a look at the other dimension. Because then Guillermo del Toro could get really like Lovecraftian with it, which I know he wants to do. He's a tremendous Lovecraft fan. So I would love to see like just anything about the other dimension. I think that would be so awesome. It's unclear now as to who, you know, really will be returning from the first movie, if Charlie Hunnam will be returning or not. Charlie Hunnam is in Crimson Peak, which is Del Toro's horror movie coming out this year. So, you know, Charlie Hunnam might be just, you know, keeping his schedule free for Pacific Rim 2. I'd be okay with that. I thought he was pretty good. Yeah. I'm very excited about that. I don't know if they'll ever actually come around to combining it with Godzilla. I just feel like there's so many things involved with that. With crossovers, like there's just a lot of licensing and litigation and payments, and the contracts are big with crossovers, especially something on this level. So I don't know if we'll ever see that, although I think it would be cool. Honestly, I think that would really help Godzilla. But anyways, Hannibal, I like I said, I only talk about stuff that really interests me. So I leave out just a lot of stuff. I mean, again, I talk about the really big stuff, but I leave out just a lot of little stuff unless it appeals to me directly. And this does, because I was a big fan of Hannibal. I'm a big fan of Hannibal, the television show. And so it was announced a little while back that Hannibal was canceled off of NBC right after their third season started. And so that started kind of a Twitter support event, or, you know, people were rallying around it, and there were hashtags involved and blah blah blah. And so then news came out that both Netflix and Amazon had passed on season 4 of Hannibal. They didn't want to do it. And so now apparently we get to find out why they passed. Netflix passed on season 4 of Hannibal because Amazon has an exclusive streaming deal for Hannibal. Amazon got the rights to exclusive streaming of all Hannibal. So that would, yeah, Netflix would have issue with that. I can see, like, they'd have to buy out the contract, something like that. It would just be potentially not worth it all for them, which is a damn shame. And then Amazon wanted to do it, but they wanted it quick, I guess. They wanted a quicker turnaround than the showrunners saw possible. So this is all just Amazon being dickish, I guess. So now Brian Fuller, the showrunner, said that he said, "We are still looking. We don't have a lot of answers, and we're looking at the possibility of a feature. So we have Hugh and Mads, who are very committed to the show, and would love to continue with the show. The way this season ends, we have the opportunity for a break, and hopefully we'll be able to find a way to bring Mads and Hugh back to you. So potentially then a feature film based on Hannibal. Not like that's a new thing. We've had plenty of feature films based on Hannibal Lecter, but I mean specifically with this cast and with this kind of writing and direction. Yeah, I mean, obviously I would rather see a feature film than nothing. But a feature film just is always so final, When you do the feature, it's like Serenity, It's just, well, there it is. It's done. Obviously, I'm glad we got Serenity instead of just nothing. Except there's a small part of Serenity that I wish they had not done ever. Just a damn leaf on the wind. Anyways. So I'd be okay with a feature film based on, the Hannibal show. But I'm hoping they can find something. But really, what else is there? I mean, maybe Hulu or something? I don't know. I don't think they've really dipped their toes into production or anything like that. Really, when it comes down to it, it's Amazon and Netflix. They're kind of the big things for internet content production and distribution. So maybe Amazon will stop being dicks, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. They've got their fingers in a lot of pots. I don't know if they really need to commit to Hannibal season 4. I don't know if that's a big draw, but it could be a big draw. I don't know. I don't know Hannibal's numbers. Like, I don't know its ratings. It did get canceled. I mean, that's a factor. You got these internet things that are just looking at it like, well, it got canceled. So, not enough people are watching this. Netflix likes to pick up these kind of things, but Amazon, I guess they're a little bit more hesitant. But Netflix, I feel, is bigger in the streaming kind of content in that kind of aspect than Amazon is. I would feel like Amazon wants to get a bigger pull in that market. I guess maybe Hannibal is not the way that they want to do it, but we'll see. It could change. It could turn around, but it might be a while before we see any more Hannibal after season 3. They're setting it up now where they can give themselves a bit of a cliffhanger. They can give them some time, but yeah. I have not actually started watching this 3rd season. I've heard mixed things about it, to be honest. But the first 2 seasons were just so damn good. Yeah, so we'll see. Alright, finally then, in the weirdest bit of news for the day, to finish us off. Aladdin is apparently getting a live-action prequel titled Genie. Yeah, you heard all that right. I didn't say anything wrong, that was all correct. Aladdin, prequel, live action, Genie. Oh, man. What? Oh, man. I don't know what's worse, this or CUJO. I mean, the kind of live action adaptations, prequel, sequel, whatever, of Disney movies are growing in popularity. Probably helped by the whole Cinderella thing, which did very well for itself earlier this year. That made... How much money did that make? Quite a bit, I believe. Yeah, that made $539 million. So that was very big. So Disney, I guess, is pursuing that now. And they're talking about now Aladdin, The Jungle Book, which is actually going to be out next April. Pinocchio, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, Dumbo, Tinkerbell, all kind of things that they're talking about and looking to get made. Some of those I think could be okay. I think The Jungle Book, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see Cinderella. I didn't. But I feel like that makes somewhat sense. Jungle Book, I mean, the bear's not going to talk, is it? But if the bear doesn't talk, like, what is it? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. Pinocchio, I can see Pinocchio working. Like, I think they might skip the whole... They go to the kind of the weird island where they all smoke cigars and drink and turn into donkeys and get sold into slavery or whatever that was. They might skip that. But I can see Pinocchio working. Beauty and the Beast, yes. That was already a live-action TV show, if I remember. Mulan absolutely can work. That one makes, like, the most sense. But I think if you take the music out of it... I don't know. Did they take the music out of the movie? The Cinderella movie? I think they did. I actually have no idea. I have no idea. Dumbo. I don't know if I see Dumbo really doing that well. That seems a bit too fantastical, but maybe. And then Tinkerbell. Guess. I can see a lot of erotic fantasies based around that movie, which probably says something about me, that I suggest such a thing. But anyways, Aladdin, Genie. Okay, here's the problem with that. Aladdin, great animated film. Really one of the greats. Helped by the fact that there was a very, very humorous, entertaining, lively, wonderful genie voiced by the absolutely incredible Robin Williams. But oh wait, Robin Williams unfortunately passed away. So now they're making a prequel based all around the genie without any assistance from Mr. Williams. What a train wreck. Like, who's gonna fill those shoes? Like, that's, oh, goodness. I don't know. I don't see that working at all. I can see a prequel for, well, no, maybe not a prequel. I can see a live-action adaptation, perhaps, of Aladdin potentially working. You're still hampered by the genie factor. But a prequel based around the genie, that's just, you're asking for trouble, in my opinion. But oh no, that's not the best part. You thought that was the best part. Listen to this. You know who's working on the script for this film? It's two guys, which already is worrisome. Whenever you involve more than one person on a film script, it's generally bad. Look at, I don't know, Mosquito Man. But the two guys working for this are Damian Shannon and Mark Swift. I don't expect you to know these names. I'm going to tell you what they've done. They have written the scripts for two movies. Well, I think they've written more than that, but these are the two big ones. Freddy vs. Jason and the Friday the 13th remake. And they're also working on the script for the Baywatch movie. Like, what? I don't get how these people are appointed to these positions. Like, really, people are sitting around at Disney thinking, well, we need some screenwriters for, a lovable, friendly, live-action prequel to Aladdin. Let's get the guys that wrote Freddy vs. Jason. That's who we need. Yes, even if that movie was incredible, which it wasn't, coming from me, even if it was incredible, it was Freddy vs. Jason. Why would you have any trust in their ability to write a script for Genie? Unless you're making a movie where Genie just goes, he has a dark period and he goes apeshit on Agrabah, I don't know if that was a good choice. But then they also wrote Friday the 13th, which was also a disaster. But don't worry, they're working on the script for Baywatch. I didn't even know that was being made, but good God. It's the year 2015. Baywatch no longer has any appeal. Baywatch never had any appeal, but whatever. Some people were desperate. I don't know. Just these boneheaded decisions that I just don't see working. But I guess, that seems like a common trend. Like every week I seem to name off some screenwriters or some directors that just doesn't make any sense. But people have faith in them, so don't expect me to have faith in them. Freddy versus Jason. Goodness gracious. But I guess that wraps up this week. Like I said, it's unfortunate we don't have more video game stuff to talk about, and the stuff that we did was not very pleasant. But we filled up a show, and that's the goal. So, yeah. Thanks again to all supporters on Patreon for making the show possible. I appreciate it. Probably a few other people appreciate it that are listening. And, yeah, we just do what we do. We make fun of bad screenwriters, even though I probably couldn't do better. I might be able to do better. We'll never know. My name is Mang. This has been the Manggcast for July 18th, 2015. And I'll see you fine folks next week.